Good morning, everyone out there in YouTube land. My name is Jared, and this is my channel, Mazda P3K. Today's video is going to be a bit different because I need to fix my stove. And so that's what we're doing in this video today. I've got a bad burner, and we're going to swap it out. Without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so this is my stove. It's an LG model. I will get the exact model here in a second. I believe, yeah, it's down here. So this is an LG LRE3083ST, and it is a range oven combination. And the issue is that this particular burner or element, it's a dual, meaning it has an inner and an outer that you can toggle. And the inner is not working. And let me show you. So this is the inner right here. So when you go to turn it on, right now the inner is only selected, right? That's what that light means. And take a look, put your hand on it, it's ice cold, not heating up. Now, if I switch that to the outer and the inner, now we're throwing heat, and you can see the outer is heating up. So, I've already taken this apart before, troubleshooting, and what I determined, and I'll show you this later in the video, is that power is getting to the inner element, but the element's not turning on, so I determined that the element itself is bad. So I've got the replacement part, and we're going to go ahead and take this thing all apart again and swap out the part and test her out. So first thing you're going to need to do is you need to get access to the back of your oven range unit. So you got to pull it out. So as you can see, I've got it pulled out. And once you got it pulled out, you can actually get back here. Very first thing, actually, that we need to do, I forgot, just for safety reasons, is we're going to turn off the breakers that are for the oven in the range. So somewhere in your house, you should have something like this. This is a fuse panel. Called fuse panel, it's a breaker panel. And for me, these are my oven and range, so they are now off. They're electrically dead. Please ignore the baby chickens. Alright, so now we can get started back here. So first thing that has to come off is this panel for the oven light. There are going to be 2 screws. One there, one over here. They're Phillips. So just take them out, and then there's 2 hanging tabs that you'll have to get out of these slots, and then this will just come right out. And once that comes out, there's a second oven panel that we're going to need to remove, and I'll show you that in a minute. With the light panel out of the way, you now got to take loose this whole panel here to expose the control board, the main control board. So to do that, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, well, not really 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 that need to come out. Get all those out, and this panel should basically just come right off. So I'm going to do that, bring you back. Alrighty, once that panel comes off, this is your main control board right here. And a little tricky to see because I don't have a flashlight pointing in, but you've got a large chunk of this wire harness is going into the various burners, and you can see that's a piece of a element right there, and we are going to need to flip that upside down so we can get access to our element or burner, whatever you want to call it. So what we're going to need to do is essentially disconnect all of this from the main control board, and then we're going to need to disconnect this. This goes down to the elements in the oven for so the oven can heat up. Disconnect that so that when we go to remove and flip the glass surface that the elements are attached to, that we can do it. We're not going to get caught on any wire harness or anything like that. So carefully go through these connectors. They are keyed. They will only go in one place. Do take a picture before you start, all that being said, so you don't get head faked by things like this. Because I suspect this video will work for multiple LG models, but I bet different models have different things plugged in. So for example, on mine, this is blank. Nothing there. And as you can see, there's some components that were never soldered on for different features. So anyway, carefully remove this, because this is your main control board. It's $300 if you break it or more. Go through this, get the stuff off, disconnect that, and then I will show you how to take the glass surface off so that we can flip it and get access to the actual element and replace it. Okay, as you can see, got everything off. Got this big guy here disconnected. So in the back, what holds this on is there are, and you can't really see, but there are two metal hooks that this sits in, and then this acts as a big hook that holds the L shape in place. So that's all that's going on back here. But in the front of the oven, you got to open the door, and there are 3 screws, 1, 2, 3, that need to come out. Those come out first, and then you can see it a little bit better from here. There's the hook, the big one, and somebody pulls that back, and then a helper, or the helper pulls that back, but whatever, you need 2 people. Get that hook out of the way, get these screws undone, and then this will just lift up and out. This is what it looks like once you flip the glass counter surface over. Remember, since we did flip it over, oh, that's interesting. This is our dual element burner right here, and you'll know that that is your target if you got a slightly different model, because this, I'm not sure exactly what this is, but it's more complicated on this particular burner than the others. See, the others, it's pretty standard, but then this guy has this extra plumbing because it has 2 controllable elements. So what we figured out is the burner is held in by a pair of clips, and I'll kind of show that over here. Actually put a shadow there, just a moment. Okay, now we have light. You can see it's clipped into a metal ring. That's how these are held into position. So you're going to need a flathead.
There's a little detent here.
There's also that
this snaps into. The way you release this is you squish and lift so that this thing's coming toward the center, and it'll lift out of that.
Okay, so you want to go after it from the other end, but so that's how we're going to get this burner out.
Take a picture of that.
And yeah, want to take a picture of this so that way we can reconnect the new just the same as the old. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll go ahead and do the swap, and then I'll bring you back. Alright, our new element is a LRE3083ST. You can find this on Amazon. You can get it directly from LG. There's also a third party that makes this that's compatible. I got this one directly from LG on Amazon. That was the best price versus quality balance for me. As you can see, looks the same on the back. If you're ever curious what your elements look like, there you go. That's what they look like. And then here's the other end of our, I guess that's a thermostat. Right here. Got to straighten out this blade a little bit, but otherwise we are good to go. That's where the clips go, there and there. So before we get too frisky, we're going to get this plugged in, and then we are going to do a quick test to make sure this actually works and that our diagnostic was correct and that this was bad. Bring it back. Okay, as we're laying this in, we noticed this clip's going to pop into one of these detents up here, but it's actually only one detent by this 54 because that one's actually been drilled out a little bit so they can hold something. The rest of these are full. Do take notice of that. Same deal over here at 18. That one's been drilled out a little bit. The rest of these are full. So this is only going to go in one way because also there's this rim that's on the bottom of the glass section, and there's a spot in the rim where it stops so that you can slide in this thermostat assembly to get everything lined up correctly. Okay, correction on the clip here. This is a pretty soft material. It's in this hole, so essentially the clip's going to spike into it so it'll hold securely. So you want to use whatever gives you the alignment that you need. We've got all the wiring transferred, so we're going to spike it, and then we'll go ahead and do a test. Okay, so got the oven back on. We've got this back in position. It's not screwed in, but it's sitting correctly. And we have plugged everything back in. So, moment of truth. We hit on. There we go. And we'll say slow, and let's see.
You're not going to be able to see very well. You're going to have to go ahead and bump it up.
Alright. Click, 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 click. Maximum power. And I do believe I see a red glow down there.
You've got an inner and an outer now.
Not. I mean, it's on.
Let's give it a minute. They're slow to heat up.
So anyway, we can now see the inner element heating up. So I believe this is a successful repair. It's a little tricky to see because, as you can see, this eye gets a lot of use. So
I definitely see the inside. It's the outside that I'm wondering about now.
well, may have to dig in this further because I'm not feeling heat off this. So let me bring it back. Hey guys, we did a bunch of troubleshooting, and ultimately what we found out was that the connector to the oven when you're testing must be connected. Otherwise, the range does not send power to the eyes. It looks like it looks like a duck, it walks like a duck, but it will not quack like a duck, so to speak. So everything must be connected when you do your testing. Otherwise, it won't send power out to the eyes and it'll look like you still have a bad eye. So what helped us in our troubleshooting, I'll show you that in a second. So you're going to find this in a small envelope that's going to be sticky taped to the back of your oven. And this is for the technician that you're calling out to come fix on your stuff. And inside of here is a circuit pinout explaining how all the electronics are laid out. And from that, we were able to learn what was common, what was hot, all that good stuff. And we were able to check resistances. And when we checked resistances on the old eye here, what we found is the outer eye was reading about where it should be. The inner eye was open. So it was fried. So that was a definitive test that showed that this is a bad part. Not to mention, as you can see now, the insulator has completely fallen apart.
Oh, for the folks at home who may be trying to test this without taking the eye off first, this blade corresponds to the outer eye, this blade corresponds to the inner eye, and this is a common ground for each of them. So when you're taking your ohming measurements, there you go.
Yep, so we definitively proved that part is bad. And we've also, once we reconnected everything and did a test, this time it worked, fired right up. So this is a good repair. At this point, putting it back together is the reverse of the disassembly earlier in this video. Get this seated again, put the screws back in, redo all your screws to put the main control board panel back on, then put the oven light panel back on, and then you're done. Slide it back in. It's a beautiful thing when you have a good repair. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for our eye repair or element repair on our LG oven. I don't remember the part number, but it's an LG oven. So if you got a comment, leave a comment. I like to read them. I like to reply to them. I like to learn from them. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, do all that other fun YouTube stuff. And remember, I make the mistakes so you don't have to. I'll see you guys next episode.